And we are back. Welcome back to the Premier League Predictions Series after what was probably the most interesting week of Champions League and Europa quarter-final first legs that I've certainly ever seen. 2 goals separating all of the Champions League ties, and then everything that happened last night, most notably, of course, that Liverpool-Atalanta game with an incredible performance from the Italian side, setting up an incredible round of second legs coming up next week. Of course, we will have prediction videos coming up on this channel for the Champions League, Europa League and Europa Conference League, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any of those predictions. But as for today, we are here to talk about Game Week 33 with just 6 game weeks left in the Premier League. There is 1 point separating the top 3. Who is going to be taking home the title this season? Let me know your thoughts, as always, down in the comment section below. And drop a like on this video if you do enjoy these prediction series. As always, let's get straight into it. Premier League Game Week 33. And we start off with the early kickoff between Newcastle and Tottenham. Now, whisper it, Newcastle might actually have a chance of retaining Champions League football. If you look at the remaining fixtures for the sides that are above Newcastle, and you look at the remaining fixtures for Newcastle, it's not implausible that they close the gap that is available to them. And winning against Tottenham in this early kickoff would be a massive step towards doing that. It seemed very unlikely a couple of months ago, but it's not as unlikely as you'd think now. But it's a really tough game for them. Obviously, we all know about the injury crisis at Newcastle. Are they going to be able to field a fully fit starting 11 of players that you would expect to be competitive? I think by the looks of it, they're going to be able to. Tottenham, of course, are playing very well at the moment. I actually think Timo Werner is playing very well at the moment on that left-hand side. He's creating a lot of chances for his fellow teammates. So interested to see how this one goes. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a very eventful game. And I'm going to go for 3-2 to Newcastle, which will see them close that gap on those Champions League places. On to the 3 o'clock kickoffs. We start off with Brentford taking on Sheffield United. And I'll be honest with you, I was very, very close to starting this video with back-to-back 3-2 predictions. Brentford, of course, have been involved in some crazy games recently. Obviously, their last game was that 3-3 draw away at Aston Villa. Sheffield United have seemed to have rediscovered their scoring boots, but they just cannot stop conceding for the life of them. And it looks like they are going to continue to be on track for the worst goal difference in Premier League history. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Brentford rather than 3-2. I just think Brentford are going to be a little bit more controlled defensively in this one, so I'm going to go for them to win 3-1. Sticking with the relegation battle for all of the remaining 3 o'clock kickoffs, we next have Burnley taking on Brighton. Now, Burnley, as we said, have been playing much, much better recently. A couple of dodgy decisions, I have to say, in their last couple of games have cost them players getting sent off. And I think in both occasions, Aston was very harsh and probably shouldn't have even been a penalty, let alone a red card. And then O'Shea last week, for me, should not have been a red card because of the ground that Dwight McNeil kicked it away from him. But it is what it is. Burnley are going to be without certain players for this game. Brighton, of course, are playing, again, mixed form with them, but they're starting to get all of their key players back again and have started to perform a lot better with those players back in the side. I'm going to go 2-1 to Brighton. There is an argument that this means more to Burnley because of their relegation fight, but Brighton are still going to feel they're in with a chance of retaining a European place for next season. I just have a feeling it is going to be Brighton that end up taking this one. That then brings us to Manchester City taking on Luton, and the first of the title challenges taking place this weekend. Manchester City, of course, off the back of that 3-3 draw with Real Madrid, that incredible game. It looks like that the Phil Foden injury that he sustained in that match is going to keep him out of this game against Luton. Is it going to matter? Was he even going to play anyway with the second leg in mind for next week? Who knows? Is there really any realistic chance of Luton getting something from this game? I'd probably say not. They put up a hell of a fight at Kenilworth Road in the league game earlier on in the season, but then in the cup game where Erling Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne combined for 4 goals, Haaland, of course, ending that game with 5. I think we all have to assume City are going to win this one fairly comfortably, so I'm going to go for a 4-1 win to Manchester City. I don't think I need to say too much more about that. The final game in the 3 o'clock kickoffs is Nottingham Forest taking on Wolves. This is a very, very tough one to call. Forest, again, fighting for their lives. Form very, very mixed. Wolves, over the last few weeks, their form has really sort of tailed off. It looked like they were going to be right in the fight for the European places. Now it looks like they've sort of tailed off a little bit, but they have got Matheus Cunha back and available for the remainder of the season, it seems. So, really, really hard one to call this one. Obviously, Nuno taking on his former side after just losing to another one of his former sides in Tottenham. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Nottingham Forest, which will make a real dent in the relegation picture because it will mean that Forest would pull away from Luton once again, especially, of course, if Luton do lose to Man City as expected. That then brings us to the 5:30 kickoff. It is Bournemouth taking on Manchester United. As a Man United fan, I have to say I'm quite nervous about this one. Bournemouth play some very good football at the moment, in particularly through the midfield, which is obviously our weakest point at the moment. If we allow the likes of Christie to get on the ball in that middle area, play it to the likes of Tavernier, I think you could see Solanke getting himself a hell of a lot of chances. And obviously we all remember what happened in the game at Old Trafford earlier on in the season. I still have to think, though, that with the ability and the players that we've got going forward, we should be able to still outscore Bournemouth. So with my biased hat on once again, I'm going to go for 2-1 to Manchester United. But we'll see. You just don't know with Man United at the moment. Depending on what attitude the players have, Bournemouth could take this one very, very comfortably. So we'll see. I have to believe we're still going to be fighting for something. And I'm going to go for 2-1 to Manchester United. That then brings us on to Sunday. The first game on Sunday is between Liverpool and Crystal Palace. Liverpool, of course, looking to bounce back from the disappointment of losing, well, not losing, but drawing to Manchester United. Losing 2 points is what I was going for with that statement. Drawing with Manchester United last week and then, of course, losing 3-0 to Atalanta. To be honest, if you could hand-pick your opponent for this game, you would pick the side that is basically already safe and not really playing for anything and is at the bottom of those sides that aren't really playing for anything. And that side is Crystal Palace. They're not in the relegation fight. They're not in the European fight. They're just where they always are, basically bottom of mid-table. So for Liverpool to have them at home, I think it's just the perfect fixture for them going into this game. It looks like the likes of Alisson, Trent, Jota could all be available for this one as well. So I think you're going to see a stronger Liverpool side. Certainly going to see a stronger Liverpool side than what you saw last night against Atalanta. I'm just going to go for a 2-0 win to Liverpool. I think it's going to be a tough one for them. Glasner has Palace set up in this sort of like 5-3-2 or a 3-4-3 at times. It's a very mobile, flexible shape, but it is very defensive. So Liverpool might find it hard to score, but I think in the end, that's what I think is about right. 2-0 to Liverpool. At the same time as that game, you also have West Ham taking on Fulham. I would again expect West Ham to win this one. Fulham's away record, especially in the last few weeks, has been absolutely terrible. West Ham, of course, are playing some good football at the moment. Are they going to prioritise the game against Bayer Leverkusen, the second leg after the 2-0 disappointment? I don't think they will. I think they're going to have to target this as a real opportunity to qualify for Europe. Again, we spoke about Newcastle earlier, potentially making a challenge for Champions League places. In that same argument, you can say West Ham have a chance of getting into the Champions League places if Tottenham and Aston Villa slip up in their really tough fixtures remaining. So I'm going to go for 2-1 to West Ham. Again, I feel that's just about right. I'd expect Fulham to get something from the game, but ultimately I think West Ham's attacking prowess will just be a little bit too much for them, especially at home. That then brings us to the main event game of the weekend. It is Arsenal taking on Aston Villa at the Emirates. Now, Arsenal, what happened against Bayern Munich? I said it in my predictions for the Champions League. Arsenal should be embarrassed if they don't beat Bayern Munich in this Champions League. And I think they will feel embarrassed. The goals that they conceded in that match were horrendous. So uncharacteristic for Arsenal's defence. And considering the amount of chances they had the other way, and the obviously debatable penalty situation with Neuer and Bukayo Saka, I think they're going to be a little embarrassed that they've not won that game. And it's a real slip-up for them. And they can't afford slip-ups right now because a game at home against Aston Villa in the title race, with Aston Villa fighting for Champions League places, they play like they did against Bayern. They very well may still win because they attack so well. But they can't afford those defensive slip-ups against an Aston Villa side that are right on it in terms of scoring goals at the moment. I still think Arsenal are going to win, but I'm only going to go for 2-1. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting encounter, but we shall see. I'm going to go for Arsenal out on top. And then finally, it is Chelsea taking on Everton in the Monday night football. And to be honest, even though we go on about whatever Chelsea side turns up, it's going to be chaos, I think Everton are going to have to produce a level of performance they've not produced in a very, very long while to get a result in this game. Let's not get it twisted. They beat Burnley 1-0. with Burnley down to 10 men for the vast majority of the game and an absolutely horrendous goalkeeping mistake bang on half-time. Other than that, Everton didn't really look like scoring, and it was Burnley that ended up, I think, having more chances with 10 men in that game. So Everton are really going to have to end up producing a result here if they're going to get anything against Chelsea. I'm going to go for 3-1. I'm still going to give Everton a goal because Chelsea's defence is just all over the place at the moment. But ultimately, I think Chelsea are too good for Everton. That is going to be it for today's video. As always, let me know all your thoughts around these games down in the comment section below. Who is going to win the title? Who is going to qualify for the Champions League? Who's going to qualify for the Europa positions? And who is getting relegated? Let me know all of those thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I'll be back tomorrow with my reaction to Bournemouth, Manchester United. I'll see you there.